Hey, welcome back to another episode of Awaken Your Life with Angel. Right here, I'm your host, Angel Jebailey, and I am right here to show you how spirituality can meet science. Now, what is this episode about? What today I want to talk about? I want to talk about the idea of you being enough. Many people forget about this because throughout their lives, the society has conditioned to think that they are not enough unless they meet some kind of expectations that the society is showing to them. And today, I'm going to show you the spiritual side why you are enough. And I'm going to also show you the science way in which you can reprogram your mind to truly see who you really are and see that you actually are worthy of everything. So stick by because by the end of this episode, you're going to feel completely different. So, before I can get into the spiritual side, let's get some definitions about self-esteem here. Now, self-esteem, it's how we perceive ourselves, right? How we actually see our worth out there. And it doesn't really matter what other people are thinking out there. It doesn't really matter what kind of achievements you have, what kind of titles you have, how much money you have, or house, whatever it is. Self esteem comes from you just really believing that you are completely worthy and deserving of anything that you truly want. It's you are embracing your true value. You're understanding who you truly are. And when you do that, you really never have to compare yourself to anyone, and you don't have this need that I need to meet with whatever the society is telling me to do or expectations. You truly become who you are. Now, there's always this thing about the ideal self and the real self. What's the difference between those two? When we say ideal self, usually it's when you start to imagine the perfect you. Like, I have the perfect hair, the perfect body, I have the perfect partner, I have the great house, I have this amazing car, I have the greatest job, and I am successful and I have plenty of money. It's a buildup of an idea that says, hey, if I reach all this, then I am the ideal, like I'm perfect. So, this is imaginations that we have in that. And usually, this imagination comes from a buildup of what the society tells you this is how you should be in order to be perfect. And then there is your real self, the person right now at this exact moment, with all the strengths, all your weaknesses, and your imperfections. So usually what happens is that when your ideal self and your real self are far away from each other, you're most likely to have a low self-esteem. You're mostly like to have those internal conflicts going through your head. You build up so much anxiety and you're always dissatisfied with everything that you do. The gratification is usually so tiny. But when your ideal self and your real self are so in line with each other that this is the moment you truly accept yourself and you truly feel that you're worthy of anything that you truly desire. So, what I want to do here today is to show you that your ideal self is already within you and you don't have to do anything on the outside. And once you realize how perfect you are just the way you are, your ideal self and your real self will become one. And that will build up a big, huge self worth inside of you. And you will feel so empowered that you really don't have to prove anything on the outside. So, with that, let me start with the spirituality. We have to talk about the Big Bang. When we talk about the Big Bang, it's this tiny little ball that just, according to what I believe, exploded. And then you have all these energy particles just exploding and expanding throughout the rest of this empty space. And from there, we believe that galaxies were created coming from this explosion. So there's like thousands of galaxies all over this universe. And there's that one particular galaxy that you are actually living in it. And of course, inside of that galaxy, there's so many star systems. When I say star system, it's basically a star surrounded by a bunch of planets. In our case, we have the solar system. We have our sun, and in that sun, we have a bunch of planets going around it. And this is where we find our Earth, right? The Earth is going around that sun. But remember, whatever the explosion happens on Big Bang was a bunch of these energy particles coming out of it. And as those energies coming, they were creating what? They were creating that universe, that galaxies. And then of course our solar system, the sun, the planet. So all of these are particles that came from one place, the Big Bang. And Earth right here, what is it made of? It's basically made of many things. We have the oceans, the trees, the things that surrounding us, from such as the animals. We have all different types of animals. Not only have the animals, we also have plants and everything like this. Now think for a second. Up to now, all of this stuff came from the Big Bang. That means the particles that are inside of you came from Big Bang. Everything around you came from Big Bang. That means all the energy within you, around you, in the planet, in the solar system, in the galaxy, in the universe, came from that one ball. And then you have your physical body. You have your muscles, your nerves, your skeletons, your heart, your digestive system. All of this are also made of exactly the same particle. And if you go even deeper, all the tissues like your muscle tissue, your nerve, your connective tissue, your skin, epithelial tissues, all of these guys also are made from that energy particle that came from the Big Bang. And if you go even deeper, your cell, the cell that makes your muscles, the cell that makes your nerve, is also made of that particle. So all the organelles, everything inside of your cell, it is also made of exactly the same energy. And if you go all the way to the nucleus of your cell, where you can find your DNA, which has all the genetic information, guess what? That is also made of the exact same particle that is coming from that Big Bang. And if you go towards your DNA and you look inside of your DNA is made of elements. And again, these elements come together to make part of these particles. Once again, all of that is an energy that came from the Big Bang. And if you go even deeper, if you look inside the elements of that DNA, you will find atoms. And these atoms are found in everything you are. We're talking about every single carb, proteins, nucleic acids, lipids, everything in your world is made from a particle. And it's made from an atom, which that means that atom came from where? The Big Bang. So, with the atom coming from there, we know that inside the atom, which has those electrons moving around the nucleus, and inside that nucleus, you have the protons and neutrons. Where do you think that these come? All of them came back from one place and only one place, the Big Bang. And you can see that in those atoms, we know that there's energy moving inside of it. And these energies are moving constantly at all times. And even inside those protons and neutrons found inside the nucleus of the atom, they have these tiny little things called quarks. And they are always also moving and non-stop in this small little tiny place. Do you understand that you cannot see an atom, not even with a microscope? That is how tiny it is. And your entire body is made of these atoms. And you'd be saying, like, okay, why you're telling me all of this? Well, because let me put this clear to you. Everything came from one place, the Big Bang, according to science. So that was this one tiny ball that exploded, and tiny little pieces of it just spread around that so-called universe or many universes. And that universe had many galaxies, and inside that galaxy we have many of star systems, and one of them is our solar system. Inside that solar system we have the star and the planet. So everything is made of those particles of energy, and all of that energy is coming from one little place called the Big Bang. And this is where we come to quantum physics. When we say the word quantum entanglement, now quantum entanglement means that once two particles are connected to each other, no matter where they go, they are always energetically connected. So that means if you meet somebody, your atoms is mixing with somebody else. And as long as you're mixing with somebody else, that person can go all the way to Japan and it can go all the way to the Brazil. Believe it or not, your atoms are always exchanging energy with that person's atoms, which is all the way in Japan. The distance doesn't matter. Now, take this a little bit more back. We said in the Big Bang, which is this tiny little ball. That means all the atoms, all the energy that was inside of that ball, they were already close in proximity, which that means they were all interacting with each other from then. And then it exploded and they started to expand throughout the entire universe, and they started to expand in the galaxies and then the solar system and then the planets. That means we are all connected to each other. And that means we are always exchanging energy with each other. Now you're gonna come and say, yeah, so what's the point? Yeah, you're basically telling me that my body, my cells are communicating with somebody else on the other side of the world or even on the other galaxy. What is the point of all that? See, if you understand that you're right here and the sisters are right there, found in the galaxy, there's this thing called butterfly effect. Now, what is the butterfly effect? This was actually an experiment done by Edward Lawrence. Now, he did this in 1961, which he was playing with a computer and simulating different types of weathers, and it was all mathematical. In that system, in the computer, he was playing with numbers to see what kind of weather will show up. And of course, numbers makes a big, huge difference. Like a 1 or zero point 0.1 or 0.011 can make a big difference. And this is what happened with Edward when he was playing with simulations. What he realized was that he tried in a simulation which was 0.506127. That was a big number. And he noticed that when he round that up to say 0.506 instead of 0.506127, that means he got rid of that 127. It changed the entire weather forecast. So imagine in a 0.506127, let's say in this case it was a sunny day. But once you change that to 0.506, now the weather showed you something else. It showed a hurricane coming in. You're like, wait, just changing this tiny little number caused a huge difference somewhere else. It's like a butterfly effect where the butterfly, just by flap it does, it can change the entire energy around it, change the entire system of the wind, change the entire ocean's movements, which can lead to something different somewhere else. So a butterfly, all the way in Brazil, one little move that she's doing will affect the weather in London. This is how proving once again that every single thing that you do not only impacts the things next to you, but it impacts all the way to another galaxy and another world. Why? Because your atom is connected with all the atoms of another galaxy through quantum entanglement. You guys are connected no matter what. And here's the most interesting part, even your thoughts can change something out there. So you don't have to be doing actions in order to make a change or in order to get something out there. You, as yourself, already are very powerful. Your energy system inside of you is already powerful. Your unique energy is part of this entire universe. And whatever you say, whatever you do, whatever you think, already can change, flip things around. So you're going from a negative thought to a positive thought, you're already changing the system around you very easily. Now, let's think this from the religious concept. Now, many religions believe that God is omnipotent, which the word omni means all and potent means powerful. They also believe that God is omniscient, which means omni all. Scient means knowledge. That means he has all the knowledge. And they also believe that he's omnipresent, which omni again means all and present means presence. So he's all powerful, all knowing, and all present. Do you understand what that means? You can take God as an entity, or you can take God as a universe. That means all of us are connected. And because all of us are connected to our atoms, we are all powerful, we all have all the knowledge, and we are present at all places at all time. Because all of us, if we put it together, everything we are, going from the tiniest little atom to a cell, to a human body, to the planet, to the solar system, to the galaxy, to the universe, boom, to the bang. We all are part of this. And whatever we do can affect anywhere else. So God, if he's everywhere, that means he's inside of you too. If God knows all the knowledge, that means your cells, your atoms are communicating with other atoms. That means you can communicate with space. You can communicate with any other galaxy quickly from within because your atoms is already connected with something else. So you truly are present at all places at all time. You are an infinite being. There's no such thing that you don't exist and suddenly you exist on earth. You already been here all this time from the beginning, and you will continue to be until the end because energy cannot be created or destroyed. So while you're here on earth trying to figure out how can I become something, how can I be a better person, my friend, you already are everything. You already are completely powerful. You already have all the knowledge. It's just within you, and you're present everywhere. And this is what you need to understand: God is within you, He's not separate from you. You don't need an approval from anything else because He's within you. So it's like saying, let me approve myself. But no, let me look outside of myself to prove. No, you don't. You are enough as it is because your particles is God and God is perfect. So are you. You don't have to change anything about you. You just have to be. You have to enjoy the ride, enjoy playing with energy on earth. So by God being this infinite source of energy that connects everything, you are literally connected all over the world with everything. And you don't really have to look inside and say, I'm not enough. I have to get the approval of the world. You don't. You're fully connected. And by being fully connected, it does not mean that you have to fix something about you. This is just a temporary stage in which you're living. Like right now, this body that you're living through, it's a character that you're playing on earth. And you're just riding to experience low vibrations, high vibrations. That means you experience different types of energy. And if you understand, Earth is the graduating class. This is a place where you're really truly learning how to play with energy. You're using your energy of your particles to create things. So the reason why you're here is to expand your energy, not to get a diploma, not to look good in front of everybody, not to compare yourself. You're just here to have fun. But many people get caught up. And how do they get caught up? They think that for you to be worthy, that means you have to do something, you have to achieve something, you have to make sure that everybody likes you, that everybody can see that you're successful, and only then you say, oh, I'm worthy. So you're basing everything about you on what the other people perceive of you, on achieving money or on achieving a house or achieving a career. It really isn't. None of that. You are enough because you're already connected with the entire divine conscience. And we know the divine is perfect, so are you. So the reason why you are here is to test the waters, to play around, create new things, try to enjoy little things that makes you happy. It's exploring the energy. That's the core of who you really are. That's why you're on earth. You're not here to prove to anyone that you are enough. You are here to play around. And what I mean by play around is go after things that makes you happy. Experience things. Some things will be like, ooh, I experienced, I didn't like it. Okay, switch, go to the next thing. It does not mean that you fail. It did not mean that you made a mistake. You are here to know what it's like to feel all the different types of emotions, to know what it's like to be on a low vibration and how to get out of the low vibration energy and go to a higher vibration energy. So, this is what it is. You are a spiritual being experiencing a physical world through a physical body. And your entire physical body is a projection of your spirit, it's coming out as an energy. And you're just trying to see what it's like to be living in this kind of physical world. But at the end, you go back to being that one energy that came all the way from Big Bang. And believe me, even before Big Bang, there's a lot of things that are coming out that says that we have many of these Big Bangs in different universes in parallel. But we stay so caught up with the idea of this earth and this physical expectations that they put in your head. Let's understand one thing about your higher self. Your higher self is basically your spirit. It is the all knowing, it is unconditional love. What does that mean? That means your spirit does not understand what sadness, depression is. Because when it is in a state of spirit, it's always happy. It has this amount of compassion and love and understanding because he knows everything. He's everywhere. That means you can walk in anybody's shoes through the spirit side. And that means that you don't have to prove anything to anyone. But then you're like, I want to understand what it's like to be in a low vibration. So your higher self decides to enter the world. So the energy that you have start turning into the form of a human. And in that process, which again, this is now putting the science with the spirituality, you start to come in. But when your spirit is starting to come into a physical body, it's obviously going to use an egg. And whose egg is that? It is the egg that is inside your mom. And guess what? Your mother already created this egg while she was in the belly of your grandma. Yes, believe it or not, while your mom was in your grandma's belly, she already had all her eggs ready to go. Now, why does that matter? We know that every emotions that your grandma goes through affects every cell in her body. And that means whatever your grandma went through, those emotions, those traumas, those things, these kind of programming are passed to your mom. And your mom, she's receiving all these programmings that is also passed to you. Let me give you an example. Let's say your grandma goes through some kind of trauma in the war. So she has so much fear and she's always anxious and she's always in the state of paranoia while your mother was in her belly. So what guess what? The cells of your mother is picking up this information and memorizing it through your cell membrane, which eventually would trigger your genes, her genes, I mean. So then your mom, she did pick some of that energy that came from your grandma. And then your mother, because she picked up some of that energy, she was physically abused by obviously her husband. So she's picking up new energy from him and learning different ways, and her cells are picking up. And she does this while your mother's pregnant. And that literally comes to you. So now you have a little bit of your mother's, grandmother's energy. You have a little bit of your mother's energy. And then you live in constant fear and you don't know why. Because the cells, specifically the cell membranes, can't pick up all the energy around. Again, it's all about quantum entanglement. There's communication and energy passing through. So, but that's your cell, your physical cell, not your spirit. Your spirit doesn't understand any of that. As long as you are outside the physical body, you are nothing but pure unconditional love, all knowing. But as you enter the body, what really happens is that you start to mix your energy with the cell that has been created inside your mother. And that cell is already coming with some of the programming that is happening there. Now, here's the important thing that you should know. You choose to be in that family because outside, when you're in the spirit world, you are watching and you're looking at them and say, I'm interested in learning how to be in this kind of situation. What is like to be in a situation where I have war traumas and my mom has been beat up by my father? What is like to handle this kind of vibration? You'll be saying like this is really messed up, right? But that's what it is. We are here to try to see the different perspective. It's like we're playing different theaters, plays, and we want to know what it's like to be in every shoes because the more we know, the more we can expand our energy. So the spirit choose their parents way before they come to earth, and they are doing this way long, even better. Before your mother or even your grandma came to earth, you guys already communicated through the spiritual world saying, we're going to go together on this, and we're going to learn from each other, and we're going to expand our energy. So this decision has been done long time ago. And the reason for is simply because you want to learn a different type of energy. So once the spirit is entering the body, it's getting into that vessel, which is basically the fetus. Now, the first heartbeat happens on the fourth week. That's when the spirit has finally entered the body. And here, between the fifth to the sixth week, that's when the first brain electrical activity start to happen. So in the beginning, the spirit enters the heart and it beats and it starts to continue. Now your spirit is starting to project its energy into the baby, into the body. So there is a mixture of old traumas and there's a mixture of unconditional love that is coming with the baby. So the baby is now putting his unique energy. That means your spirit is starting to put your unique energy into that baby. So there's a two types of programming. There's a physical programming that has been carried by the cell membranes, and there's the spiritual programming, which is coming from what? From outside, from your higher self, your spiritual being. What really happened is after you have by the fifth and the 6 weeks, your brain activity starts to work, you are still receiving your spirit energy, but at the same time, you're also receiving the energy that is coming from your mom and from the surroundings, from your dad, whoever it is surrounding you as you grow through your mother's belly, as well as throughout the age of 0 all the way to 7. Because at that stage, right, as a baby, a fetus, all the way to 7, most of the time your brain is working on a delta or a theta state. What does these brain waves mean? It means that you kind of like in a sleepy state, you're more like a hypnotic state. And usually these are when your nerve cells are being programmed. So you are absorbing everything around you. A baby that is right next to his parents, like sleeping there, it's a sponge. It's listening. If the parents are arguing, the baby is listening. If there is screaming and shouting, the baby is listening. If there is thoughts or anything around that talks about belief system, the baby is already absorbing through their cells everything that is happening around them. And then if you put them on TV at the age of 1 and 2, they're observing everything that is said on the TV and music, whatever words that are coming out of the music. So all of this is a programming, and the programming is coming to what? To your physical body. It does not mean that your spirit is like this, it is your physical body. But obviously, your spirit is starting to enter. And usually, your some of the spirits, it takes up to the age of 7 to fully be incorporated into a physical body. Now, I talk about the spirituality side. Let's get into this physical world. Society conditions. Let me give you examples of how you have been bombarded with so much information that made you feel that you're not enough. Number one, parents. Like your parents are the first ones that you look up to see if they love you or not. So if you do something wrong, your parents look at you with disappointment, you start saying, "Oh, I did something wrong. I'm not perfect." Or your parents keep telling you that you're stupid or that you're silly, or they start saying no, or they never give you love. They never say, "I love you." So they make you feel insecure. Or at the age of 2 and 3, your parents keep complaining that you're super hyperactive and this kid never shut up. All of this is a programming making you feel like, okay, they don't love me because I have defects. That means I'm not enough. That's a way to start. Then, of course, then you go to school. And when you go to school, it's the same concept. They're like, sit down, behave, be in line. Oh, if you're not in line, you're wrong. Get back in there. What is basically telling you? That there's something wrong with you. Grades. Oh, they never focus. Good job. You got a 67. That means 67% you know the information. No, they say, oh, that's not enough. That's bad. Why? Because you don't know the rest of the percentage. So even the kids that get 98, that 2% kills them in their head like, oh my God, I'm 2% away from perfection. So what are you doing here? You're basically repeating a program in your mind that I'm not good enough because I did not hit the 100%. So how much of that killer is? And this is so wrong. And I say this because I was in the education system for 15 years. And I saw a lot of students who were disappointed for getting an 80% or were disappointed for getting a 65. And I'm like, are you kidding me? These are just grades. They don't define you. But they start saying, oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm an idiot. I see this coming out of their mouths. And this usually it's a programming because in schools they keep telling you that grade matters and that you have to be 100%. And as long as you're not hitting 100%, you're not good enough. And imagine this goes from the grade from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. This is repeatedly done to you. And the report cards are just reinforcing, saying, not good enough. And then universities are telling that you have to have these grades, otherwise, you're not enough to get into college. So you can see how, under this whole process, you're just being again and again bombarded with the idea that you're not enough. And then you go to the social media. You go to the social media, they have these influencers showing their perfect body and faking that they have a perfect life with their perfect partners, while behind they don't tell you the shitty that is happening in their house or the anxieties that they have. They only show you the good side. And then you start realizing, how come they have a great life and I don't? And then the society tells you, what is a perfect body? What is the perfect skin? What is the perfect hair? What is a better way to live life? And you're like, oh, you start to compare and you start realizing, wait, they're telling me this is a perfect life and I'm so far away from this. So that means I'm not enough. That means I suck. See, the society keeps bombarding this through social media, TV, even music. Some musics, especially I saw this in rap music, where like it's all about, hey, I got the money, I got the girl, and then the guy goes like, I don't have the money, I don't have the girl. So what happens? You think you're not enough, so you feel miserable. You get low self-esteem out of this. So And the more you listen to the music, the more you're being brainwashed by it, believe it or not. And then you have the religion, another place that is brainwashing you. How many times in so many religions they say that you need to be perfect? You shouldn't sin. Sin is a deadly thing. It's going to take you to hell. So every day, if you do one little thing that is a sin, you start already thinking that you're not enough, that you need the forgiveness from something above, or even worse, a forgiveness from a priest, like as if the priest is the most perfect thing, who never lied, who never had lust, who never had nothing before. It is the most ridiculous thing. And they tell you what is right or wrong according to their belief system. And if you don't follow exactly their system, you start thinking you're not enough. And this is what happens with many people. So for instance, there's this belief system where you can only have sex after marriage. So a lot of people have this fear of having sex before marriage because they think it's bad. Or homosexuality, a lot of people think that they're going to hell because they keep bombarding you with the idea that as long as you are homosexual, you are not enough, you're going to hell. And that's why there's a large batch of people in the LGBT community that think that they're not enough because they don't meet the expectations from these religions. Not all religions are like that, but just to give you an examples of it. Other one says that you're not supposed to lie, but then out of fear you do lie. So now, great, I lied, now there's a problem with me, there's a defect. I'm not saying that you should lie, but many times we lie because we don't want to be looked upon as bad people, as weak people, or defected people, because we think that we want to be good, we think that we want to be approved by others. And that's why we enter this turmoil in our head of lying, because we really think that everybody else's opinion is so important. And if they don't love us, then we cannot love ourselves. If we don't follow everybody else's belief system or do exactly what they say, then why can we love ourselves? So we live in the constant surroundings of telling us that we are not enough. And imagine this is built on until some people to the 20s, some people 30s. And I know some people at the age of 50 who still care so much about their reputation, about how people perceive them. And they leave with so much anxiety and depression from that. So let's see if you here have examples of low self esteem. Do you really have? Let me give you here examples just for you to see and be aware if you do have that low self esteem. For example, do you always try to please others? Does it feel like it's a necessity? Do you actually have a difficult time putting boundaries? Do you know how to say no without feeling guilty about it when somebody asks you to do something? Do you believe that, you can't achieve what you want no matter what? You're always going to be in a struggle. You blame yourself every single time for all the mistakes you've done, and you keep doing this again. If I didn't do this. Oh man, I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have done that. Like if you keep doing this again and again, and then if your family, your friends mistreat you because you think that, yeah, I'm wrong and they have the rights to be upset with me. Oh, I am definitely deserve all this shit that I'm getting from them because, yeah, I'm not good enough. Yeah, there's something wrong with me. They are totally right. And sometimes when you're at work, you do more work than you're supposed to be doing because, again, you can't say no to a boss, because if you say no, that they are going to dislike you, or maybe you're going to lose your job. So you put up with extra work just to be okay by them, but proved by them, because you have the fear of being a disappointment. And you're always looking for the public approval. Every time you want to make a decision, you want everybody to say, is this okay? Is this okay? And you start feeling anxious, wanting for the likes whenever you post something. And you don't want to start your own business. Even deep inside you have this desire, but like, no, it's gonna fail, so you don't even start because you're afraid that you're gonna fail and then everybody's gonna call you a loser. So you stay in the same job, very much suffering, simply because I'm too scared to fail, so let me just be here in this miserable life doing the same exact damn job every single day because I don't want to look like an idiot or a failure, because I don't think I even have the capability of doing this stuff. Like, I don't have the knowledge. I'm stupid. And that goes all the way from high school when you used to get bad grades, or even if you did good grades, but you never got the 100. So I was like, I don't have all the information I need in order to go forward. So this is basically a killer as a low self esteem. And there's a lot of people who are in abusive relationships. And they don't leave because they don't think that they can find somebody else. They're already grateful that they have a person, even though the person mistreats them, abuse them, take advantage of them. And they're not able to say no and says, I'm done. I deserve better than this, because they think like, I'm already ugly. I'm already a nobody. I don't have this. I don't have that. The fact that they're with me, that's good enough. And they live this for 30 years in a marriage. That's how crazy it is. So let me tell you how you can change all that. You can do this. And now we're talking about science. Neuroplasticity. What is this? Basically, it's about nerve connections. And we have learned that nerves can break down and nerves can build up again. So you can rewire your nerves. So when you're a baby and as you go on listening to many indirect messages saying that you're not enough, you are building a lot of nerves inside your body saying, you're not enough, you're not enough. And as you keep listening, the more and more these nerves are connecting with each other. And then you truly start to see them coming closer. And then connection forms, which you truly believe that you are not enough. And you have been programmed to think that way. And you go through your life going through so much, hard times and so much suffering because you believe that you're not enough. So you suffer through your job, you suffer through your relationships, you suffer through your body. Now, here's the good news. Science has proven that you can get rid of these nerves connections and create new ones. It is possible. So you can really reprogram yourself. And how is that doing? Is by changing the way you think. There's so many ways, like hypnosis. Because remember, when you were a baby, you were in a delta wave, which means you were kind of sleepy. So you were in a state of hypnotic, which that means through hypnosis, getting yourself to that sleepy state where your brains are now in the delta. What does it do? It allows for new information. And if that new information keeps repeating in your mind, what happens? You start breaking away the old connections and create new connections. So if you start, for example, looking at the mirror or doing hypnosis in which you build up the idea that you are enough, the old nerves are going to disconnect and the new nerve is going to come. And that new nerve is going to say, I believe that I am enough. So it is possible to change your brain, to change your entire nerve connections, and of course, bring you to a state of feeling I am enough. Now, some people are going to say, oh, I tried affirmation a couple times. It does not work. My friend, can you understand that you're picking up information from your grandma, who went to your mother, who went to you, and it has been built up for centuries. And then, as the age of 0, all the way to God knows the time that you start to do therapy, you've been bombarded by the same thoughts, attracting the same kind of situations. And you expect that you do it once or twice formations and nothing's changing? Of course, it won't work. See, it takes 3 to 6 months to get a new behavior. And get this, it takes a minimum of 10,000 repetitions of an affirmation through hypnosis, through daily affirmations and mirroring, all of these stuff in order to make a new connection. So, examples of doing journalism, visualization for 10 or 20 seconds, meditation with a lot of, hypnotic affirmations and going in there, this stuff can speed up. So, the more you do throughout the day, the faster you can get there. But we don't do that. We do one or two and we expect to make a miracle. How you expect to do this when you have been bombarded with so much information before? So it really is about work. And it does work. Affirmations do work, but you have to repeat them. You have to write them. You have to embrace them. And you have to do this as you wake up in the morning, as you eat, as you go to work. Put a bunch of affirmations around you. Read them from time to time at night before you go to sleep. A prayer, this stuff, everything that you keep repeating works. Working with a coach, for example, me, building this stuff, you can change the system. Once you do all that work, look how you will feel so good going from a low self-esteem to a high self-worth. First, you can accept who you are without trying to be perfect. You accept as you are. And you will learn to say no to people and feel good about it without any guilt. You're going to go after all your dreams without fear. Like you're really going to be bold and crazy enough to say, I'm doing this and I don't care what people say. And you actually will get there. And anytime you make a mistake, you're not going to go and lament and stay crying about it. You're going to say, yeah, I learned my lesson, move on. You quickly pick up yourself. And you will choose people that truly respect you, support you, and bring peace to your life instead of being around snakes that talk behind your back and stab you and all the stuff. Because when you truly feel that you are enough, you're going to feel this worthiness inside that you're going to attract people like you who really respect you, who sees your worth. You're going to leave all those friendships that did not respect your feelings, that only use you, only call you because they want something out of you, but never really are there when you need them. See, you're going to actually look at the mirror and look and say, damn, I look sexy. Damn, I look good. Damn, I'm amazing. Even if there is imperfections, but you don't see them because you truly embrace them all. You will decline invitations when you don't feel like going out. You're going to start new courses, learn new skills because you just feel like you want to evolve more. And you don't care if you fail or not. As long as you learn and you keep going. Even at work, you're not going to be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to own it up and say, yeah, I did, but I can continue. And if they fire you, you're not going to feel like, oh, whatever, I go find something else because I know I can always attract whatever I want. And you're not afraid to tell what you really want. You speak up your mind without fear. Even if it's going to cause disagreements, you speak it and you stick to it because you know that you deserve everything. So, this is what I'm telling you. I know all of you guys want to be in that state of high self worth, everything flows. And truly, I say this from experience the more you love yourself, the more the people will love you. The more you take care of yourself, more people want to take care of you. The more you respect yourself, the more people respect. Because again, it's all about the law of attraction, which will be another full episode about it. Everything that you do to yourself, people will do the same because that's what you tell in the universe. So if you keep mistreating yourself, guess what? Everybody else will mistreat you because you're saying, this is what I want to receive. So keeping here three quotes for you from three different people that I think you resonates with this entire podcast. First, "You Are Enough Just the Way You Are" by Jane Austen. She was right. And then Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent," which is true. Only you, in your mind, can give away power to other people. If you truly stop listening to the outside and start going from within and truly listen to your inner being and know that you're perfect as it is, no matter what people say, it will not shake you. You will always be confident. And as Maya Angelou says, you alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody out there. I just want to say and repeat this like 1,000 times: you are enough. Enough trying to prove to others, enough criticizing yourself day and night, enough trying to find other people, their validation in order for loving yourself. It really starts from within. And I hope that this podcast kind of enlightened you, got you a little bit motivated to start working on those affirmations, start working on shadow work, inner work, all this type of work that helps you really see who you truly are. Because, buddy, you have existed all along and you will continue to exist even after this life. And everything that you do on earth is just simply playing with energy. The entire society will continue to bombard you with the idea that you need to do things what they want as long as you keep allowing them. But when you start to see that you are worthy no matter what they say, this stuff runs away. So, with that, this ends this podcast on you being enough. Just remember to subscribe to this podcast, Awaken Your Life with Angel. On Instagram, we got at Coach Jebailey. I'll always come up with new information out there for you guys. Also, you can go to my YouTube to watch these podcasts as a video too through Coach Jebailey or at Dr. Angel Jebailey 1111. And you have my website, www.angelajebailey.com, which I have resources, I have the coaching services. You can even subscribe to our newsletter for updates and special offers. Remember, let's awaken your life and create a healing path together. I am here for you always. Take care. Sending all the love and peace to all of you. Until the next episode, you are enough.